can use block for state management. So let me introduce you to our today's speaker, Purvik Rana. Purvik sir is a mobile Flutter tech lead at Sunflower Labs. He has now 6+ years of experience in mobile app development with Android, React Native, and now Flutter. For him, it's all widgets now. Welcome, Purvik sir, to Flutter Valsad, and the virtual stage is all yours.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Abhishek, for the introduction. And hello, guys. Yeah, good evening. I am Purvik Rana. And as Abhishek has already introduced me, that I do have the 6+ year of experience in the mobile application development. Earlier I started with the freelancing for the Android application development, and that was really a cool phase because I was learning. And later I joined an organization, and since then I was developing the mobile applications for the organization also. I am doing the freelancing also and Android application. And now I have moved to the Flutter application development, and it's all widgets now for me. So yeah, let me just share my screen so we can start with the session. And Abhishek, just tell me that when it is visible, right?
Bro, I have one doubt.
Hello.
Bro, why you moved to Flutter?
I like it, and it was really an interesting stuff that while working with the Android, I was only addressing a single code base, and I am only addressing the Android application development, right? And then as we move to the React Native in our organization, so I have developed an application with the React Native also, and where I actually found that there are no any UI components, or you can say less UI components are there compared to the Flutter when it comes, right? Before that, there was no other option. There are different options for that, but we go with the React Native, and we started with that. Then Flutter comes into the picture, and which we found very interesting. So initially we started with a small project because we cannot directly jump into the client's project for the judgment that how the Flutter will go, right? So that's why we started with the small application, and we thought in mind also that if that will not work, then React Native will catch up that in the duration of that project. So that's how we go with the Flutter, and it was a successful. Then after, we never look back for the React Native. So I guess that's give you the answer for that, right? Because yeah, since when the Flutter has started, since when we started with the development, and it has a great level of maturity as of now. Because compared to the time then when we have started, it was also having some issues regarding the releases and all the things to support with the iOS different versions. But now it has occupied a different level of the targets now. So yeah.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. Sorry. It is visible, right?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So good afternoon, guys. That for today's session, we are going to see discuss about the Flutter block state management techniques that we have for our Flutter applications. And so I will be talking about the different core concepts of the block also, then the different core concept for the Flutter block, which is a package that we can use in our Flutter application for managing the different states, and how it is working for our Flutter application. That's what we are going to see. And I will be explaining the different concepts, that which are the different concepts and widgets are there available in the Flutter block. And then we will be jumping for the demo of the counter application, and which might we have already seen on the official website. So I will be just going through the code for the counter application, and later we will see the API calling demo for the same, which is implemented using the block. So we will be seeing that one later. And also a small part of Qubit that I will be sharing, which is a lightweight version of the block. So the Qubit is also the one of the thing that has integrated in the block. So yeah, so for the today's agenda, we will be just referring the different state management approaches for our Flutter application. Then moving forward, I will be explaining about the block, that what and why that we are using the block. What are the different advantages of the block? We will see that how inside a Flutter application the block actually works. So we will be I will be explaining about the architecture of this block. Then we will see the core concepts for the block and the Flutter block. And practically we will see the two demos for the one is for the counter, which is a simple structure to get to understand the block, and then we will be seeing the API calling demo. So that will be there. And later we will be seeing the Qubit, the same counter demo and the API calling demo, which is implemented using the Qubit. So I will be sharing that one. So starting with the different state management approaches for our Flutter application. So as we know that every stateful widgets are having a set state method, which is handling the current state of that particular screen. So that widget. So that is what one of the things that is already underhood provided by the Flutter, which is the set state. Then talking about the next, that is the inherited widget and the inherited model, which we can also use, and which is also provided by the Flutter to having to manage the state between the different widgets for inside our Flutter application. Then we do have the provider and scoped model, and this is a really an interesting stuff to learn. That provider is also a separate state management techniques, and which is very powerful to maintain the state inside our Flutter application. Then we do have the Redux, block, and the Mobex. So these three are also the different state management techniques. The Redux is also very popular among the different technologies, like the same I talked about the React Native and Angular. So the Redux is also there. Mobex is also very much popular for maintaining the state for the mobile application development for our Flutter also. So there are many persons who are using the Mobex for the state management of our Flutter application. And the block, that is what we have addition to this all, that is also used to manage the state of Flutter application. So we will be talking more about the block over here. Hello.
So it's block and provider both are state management. So what's the difference between that?
Block and
provider is called state management. So
every other this everything that which is listed over here, it is the managing the state of your application. So you can say the provider is
between,
so provider
set state.
Provider and
what's the main difference?
You can so you can term the provider is the underhood working inside the block. So you can say the block is managing the state with the help of the provider. There are different widgets that we are having in the block, which are underhood working to manage the state of our application. So you can say the block is a wrapper for the provider.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, these are the different state management approaches for our Flutter application, and we will be talking more about the block. So Talking about what is the block, so mainly it is stands for the business logic component, and same it is the one of the state management technique for our Flutter application, and it is available for the different technologies, which is the Dart, Flutter, and Angular Dart. And why it is? Because it separates the actual presentation logic from our business logic. So that is what the UI part that we are having in our mobile application, that will be separated from the processing part, which is actually processing the data. Talking about the data in terms of that fetching the data from the server or processing something on the data. So that business logic will be separated from the UI. So that is what also achievable in this thing. So, and it is also make our code very fast, easy to test, and reusable, because it has the different terminology, the architecture that we design that is used for the block, which makes it testable, because it is also available. It is also possible to test the different blocks using the test cases, and the reusable kind of stuff, that we can also create the different instance of a particular block, and we can also call the independent method to that instance of the each block. So that's how the block is also reusable in when managing the state of our Flutter application. Next, talking about the advantages. So at any point, if you want to know that in which state our application is, the block is very useful for that. Each and every interaction of the user that we can manage using the block. So for that, it can makes a data driven application, makes our application a data driven. So that's how it is smoothly handling those things. And one thing, that it is simple, easy to understand, and any level of the developer can start with the block. It is powerful. It makes the complex application development very easy. So if you say that we have a very huge application and we have to manage the states and different, so many number of screens are there, so at that time we can go with the block, because there will be no complexion to manage the different state of the different screens at a particular time. So block has achieved that one also, and it compose them in a very smaller component. So that if we want to apply a block only on a single portion of our screen, so let's say we do have a screen and only to a single portion of the screen at which we want to apply the block, then that is also possible. So block is accessible to each part of our UI, and if you want to incorporate block to the any single portion of our screen, then which is also possible. And the last the thing, that it is testable, so we can easily apply the different test cases on the block also. So these are the different benefits for the block. Talking about the block architecture is next. So this is what the architecture that we have we follow in the block. So UI, that is what the represented to the user and user. We will be having a block which will be having the processing stuff for our data, and you can term this data as the server, which is providing us the data on the basis of the various requests and in form of the various response. So how this architecture works? So initially, that you will be having a initial state for your application. Let's say one screen is represented to the user, and user is interacting with that particular screen. So let's say he is pressing a particular button. So on press of a particular button, several events will be fired. I am talking about a screen to the block communication. So screen will be having a different interaction of the user, which may be incorporated with the different events. So based on a single button press, a event will be get fired, which will be passed on to the block, and that block will identify that which kind of event is there. So based on the event, the block will process those information. If we are passing some data, that block will take that data from the event, and after processing on that data, means let's say we are only processing over that particular data, then block will process that data, and it will emit. Emit means it will give a new state to the UI part. So emit, that we will see in how it is emitting the different state, but it will give the new state. It will give the new state of the UI to the UI part. So on the basis of the next state, the UI will be updated. So that's how the block is working under hood over here. And if we talk in a general, if we talk a real world example, let's say UI is an organization. So I'm just giving a real world example that we are having an organization, and for that organization, we are having an event committee. Okay, so block you can term as an event committee. Organization, the officers are giving the list of the events that we are next day we want to have this event, so decorate our office in such way. So based on the information that the event committee is receiving, on the basis of those information, the event committee will decorate the office. So initially the office is not decorated, right? And based on the information, the kind of the event, that information is passed from the officers to the event committee, the office been decorated. So this is how the real world example we can term for the block also. So UI represented to the user interacting with the screen. On the basis of the different interaction, different events will be fired to the block, and that block will be emitting the different state. Let's say three buttons are there. One is telling the block that I want to display green color on the screen. Second is telling that I want to display the red color. Third is telling I want to display the yellow color. So those events will be fired to the block. Based on the type of the event, the block will emit the different state to the UI. So that way the block will represent the different UI, different state to the UI part, and on the basis of receiving the different state, the UI will act upon. So this is how the block works in our application. And talking about the data processing, based on the event, block can communicate to the different servers also. So it can also generate the different requests, and the request will be passed on to the different servers. The response will be received, and if you want to process on some kind of a responses, right, that you want to bifurcate a single list into the two lists, that you can also process into the block, and from the block you can pass those states to the UI part. So that way the block works actually in our application. So I guess architecture is clear. Right? Does anyone has any questions about that? Okay, I guess I am taking it as a no, and we will be discussing it later if anyone has any questions. Yeah, so that is a simple architecture, right? Giving the event to the block. Based on the event, block will give the different states to the UI. So these are what the things that I have already explained, that in the architecture how it works. So basically the block will work in that way. So events are nothing. Events are the input to the block that are added in response to the UI interaction. User is performing some button press, or user is loading some data when the screen is open, it is loading some data from the server side. So those are the different events that are given input to the block. States are nothing. Those are the outputs from the block, and which will represent the part of our application state. So based on the state, the UI will be get updated. And the transitions, so this whole cycle, user is interacting with the screen, and it is throwing an event, and the event will be passed on to the block. Block will process that particular event, and based on the process, it will have some data, and it will give the next state to the UI. It will give the new state to the UI. So this whole thing, the user event, the block comes in between. Block will identify the kind of the event, and it is processing that event, and based on that event, it will process or you can say it will emit the next state to the UI. So this whole thing is known as a single transition, and that transition consists of the three things. That is what the current state, event, and the next state. So we will see that where this transition is helpful. This is only helpful to identify that in which current state or which transition is happening in your application by using which block. So this is an observer kind of stuff that we do have in our application with the help of the block. Next, talking about the stream, that is the sequence of the asynchronous data. So here is an example that we do have the stream of integer, a function which is emitting the integer stream from here, and it is a generator function. So that's why it is the async star. Async star is a generator function notifying that it is generating the stream of the data type which is specified over here. So here we have specified the integer, so it is the stream of integer which are generated from this particular function. So here we will be passing a maximum integer value. Let's say we are passing a 10. So from 0 to 10, from here the value of the I from 0 to 10 will be yield. That is what the emit. We can say that it is giving the values from this function. In it is throwing these values. I equals to 0. When the at the start of the interaction, I equals to 0, it will yield the I. So it will put this value I equals to 0 into the string. Come to the next, when I equals to 1, it will put this value I equals to 1 to this particular string. So in that way, the yield is working. It is emitting the different values to this particular string. So the type of the stream, the type of the data that are being presented into the stream, which is passed from using the yield. So that's how the yield is working. So talking about a real-time example, that stream is nothing. It is a pipe of water flowing through it. So you can consider the pipe as a stream, and the water which is inside the pipe is the data. That is what we are having through the stream. So stream of integer, we are only giving the integers to this particular stream, and the point which is calling this particular function will be receiving this particular data at that side. So this is how stream is working. And same, why we are explaining, why I'm explaining this one, because in the block we do have the same thing, because as I said earlier, block will receive the different event, and on the basis of the event it will yield the different states. It will emit the different state. So that's where this concept will be useful. Sorry. Yeah. So next, let's talk about the block. So that it is a component that converts a stream of incoming events into the outgoing states. So based on the event, it will process the data and it will give the outgoing states. Every block must extend the base block. That is what technical thing that we need to do. So block the base block that we need to extend, it must define the initial state, because every screen will be represented with the initial state of the UI, so that we need to represent. And every block must implement the map event to state method, which in terms take the event as a parameter, and it will give the stream of state as an output parameter. So it will must return the stream of new states from here. And a single block will ignores the duplicate states, which will makes the no return from the block. So let's say your current state is state 1, and you are throwing an event 1 to the block. Block 1 will receive the event 1 from the UI part, and from the by identifying that it is the event 1, block will now emit the different state. But let's say block is emitting the state which is already represented earlier, means which is the previous state 1. So the current state is the state 1, your event is received to the block, and block is again throwing the same state to the UI, which is the state 1, which is already there. So current state, which is equals to the next state, at that time block will not throw that, block will not represent that state to the UI part. So it will ignore the duplicate states and it will make no return from the block. So this concept is the thing from the block. And how we can notify the block about an event? So we need to have the instance of the block, and by passing an event to the add method, we can add the different events to that particular block. And when we are adding a different event, the map event to state method will be get called. So this is what the terminology of the block. Next, talking about the block delegate. So to access the all the transitions, all the errors, all the changes, that we can have the block delegate, and which is now termed as the block observer. So we can also have the observer, which is observing all the transitions which are happening under hood of our application. So whatever number of blocks are there, we can have those all transitions to be printed in our console. We can also handle the on change, and we can also identify the errors in this particular all the in all of the blocks that are going through our application. So we can have the observer. So for that, we need to define a simple block observer, which is extending the block observer, and which in which we can override the three methods, which is the on change. So this is related to the qubit, so I will be giving you explanation about this later. And on transition is there, which is the block and the transition. So the current block, which is the reason behind this transition, which will be printed over here, and the transition which will be printed to the console. So transition is consist of the three things, as I termed earlier, that it will be having the current state, the event which has triggered, and the next state, which is the reason behind this current state. So these three details will be printed on the console. So on transition is also helpful to get to know that which details are or what actually happenings for the block. And the on error is there. So at any point, if we do have any error inside the block, so those things can also be printed on the console. So block observer, or you can say the block delegate, which is deprecated and it is now converted to the block observer. So block observer is nothing, it is an observer which is observing all the block transitions, errors and changes which are happening in our application. So we can have a class like this one, and to use that particular class, we need to pass we need to specify this class over here after the main. Inside the main, we can specify it one. So this way we can also apply the observer, which is giving all the details about the transitions, the changes and the errors which are happening inside the block. Next, talking about the Flutter block. So those are the different concept of the blocks, which is the parent package of the Flutter block, which is the main core package. And from there, the Flutter block is there. So we will be talking about the more core concept of the Flutter block, and which is the consisting of these widgets. So core concepts are nothing, those are termed in a different widgets. Give it a minute. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask one thing, that before moving forward, the concepts are clear, right, about the block? Does anyone is having questions? Because
yeah, we do have some questions in chat, so I answered them, but yeah. Okay, one was what is Angular Dart?
What is Angular Dart?
Yeah, it's basically like Angular framework for Angular.
Yeah. Yeah. So same.
Application. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so yeah, you answered it already, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So how will we know when to use which state management tool?
It depends on the complexity of the application, right? So if your application is not very much complex, then you can go with the provider also. And if you have the complex application, then you have the different choices, right? But which is very suitable to you, means whatever that in your development practices are there, that you need to make sure that you will be comfortable with this state management technique. So that's what we can go with. And once you have a particular handy development with the block, then for a simple application, you will also choose the block. That's what I can say.
Another is which state management solution has an easy learning curve? Which is most preferred management technique used nowadays in companies?
MobX and block. So this two has the easy curve for the learning, and provider is the easiest way to learn the different state. But for the complex application, it might be hard to manage. That we haven't tried it, but it is hard to manage for the complex application, as I can see the simple way how the provider is working. But for the complex application, you can go with the block and MobX. And for the learning curve, both are easy. Yeah.
In a single application, can we use provider, block, and qubit together?
Block and qubit you can use together. That's not in question. And yeah, for us, some portion of your application, you can also use the provider.
Okay, so I guess that's all the questions till now.
Okay. So any questions regarding the different architecture or the block concepts that I have explained till now? Because these details will be only that how you can implement the block in your Flutter application. These core concepts will be related to that. The theoretical concepts which I have already covered. So does anyone is having questions in that one?
I guess no, like they might be asking at last.
Okay, yeah, not an issue. Yeah, so again, that in a single line that I would like to say that block is nothing. Block is just receiving the events from the UI. It is processing the different thing based on the event, and when it's ready to give the new data to the UI, it will pass on the different state with that particular data. So whatever the state that UI is receiving, on the basis of that, it will represent the UI to the user. So that's what the block. Now, talking more in terms of the Flutter block. So these are the different core concepts, or we can say these are the different widgets by which we can implement the block in our Flutter application. So block provider and the multi-block provider are used to provide the block to your lower subtree. Block builder and block listener are block builder. If you see that, as I said, that on receiving the different state, the UI will represent the UI. UI will be changed, which is represented to the user. So block builder will be useful to represent the different UI based on the state. Block listener, it is same, but it will not update the UI, but it will be used to navigate or to display the snake bar or to represent the dialog to the user based on the different state. So there is a very thin line difference between the builder and listener that we will see in our practical demo also. And block consumer, when it is the combination of the builder and listener, so we will also see that how the block consumer is there. Repository provider, so same way, the block provider is block provider used to provide the block to the lower subtree. Repository provider is also used to provide the repository to the lower subtree. And multi-repository provider, which same as the repository provider, but at a single, but case of providing a single repository to the lower subtree, it provides the multiple repository at the same time to the lower subtree. So that is what the different core concept and the different widgets. So this is the overall idea. Let's see one by one in detail. So block provider, which provides the block to the lower subtree, and to providing that particular block to the lower subtree, this is the syntax of that. So we need to specify the block provider of the type of the block that we are passing to the lower subtree and the context. So this is how we can provide, and this is the example where the block A is provided to the lower subtree, that is what the child A. So whatever the widgets are there within the child A, and itself child A will have the instance of the block A, which can be accessible by using the block provider. And if you want to pass, this is what the instance is created of the block A, and which will be passed to the child A. And let's say if we have the instance of the block A already created, then we can also pass that instance by using the block provider dot value, and where we can pass the particular value or the instance of the block. So this is how that a block will be provided to the lower subtree. And to access this block, we can use any of the syntax, that is what the context.block, the type of the block, and you can also make use of the block provider of type of the block and context. So this is the syntax for that it is used over here. So this is the block provider which used to provide the block to the lower subtree. Same multi-block provider is there, which is used to provide the multiple blocks at the same time. So in previous example that we have seen that we are passing a single block A to the lower subtree, and if you want to pass the multiple blocks, then someone might be thinking that we can wrap each and every provider widget with the new block provider widget. Yeah, right. So that will also work, but block is having its own suggestion for that, or you can say the alternate widget is also there, which is the multi-block provider, which is having a providers parameter, which is in which we can pass the different blocks using the block provider. So this is the syntax for that the multi-block provider, you can use this widget, and inside the providers we can pass the multiple blocks and the instance of the blocks created using the block provider. So this way the child A and the lower subtree will have the access of the 3 blocks which are provided inside the multi-block provider parameter. So this is the block provider, and this one is the multi-block provider. Now next is the block builder, and which requires a block, the type of the block that it represent this block state on which it will return a particular UI, and the builder class from which it will return the different widgets based on the different state. So let's say we are passing a block A. In previous example that we have seen that we have passed block A to the lower component of the child A. Now inside the child A a widget, in somewhere we may have the block builder. So to act for the different state of the block A, we can have the block builder in this way. So block builder, the block on which the builder will be represented, the different UI components. So block will be there, and the state, the type of the state that this particular block is emitting the different state. So this will be represented over here, and the builder function will be there, which will be having the context and the state. So whenever from the block the different states are emitted on the basis of the different event, the respective block builder will be get activated, and whatever the state that it is receiving, on the basis of the state we can represent the different UI from this particular block. So block builder is mainly to represent the different UI to the user on the basis of the different state of the block. And here, as you can see, that it will automatically look up using the block provider. So we do not have specified the block over here. So block builder will look up to the previous part of your application, that which kind of a block, that whether we have provided the block using the block provider or not, or are we directly acting with the help of using the block builder. So if you are failed to provide the block using the block provider, means you are directly using the block builder instead of using the block provider first. So what will happen, that it will throw an exception to you, and there it will give that no block is provided of this particular type. So first we need to provide the block provider, then within the lower subtree we can use the block builder and the block listener also. So block builder to represent the different UI based on the different state. Same, if you want to have UI represented on the change of a state for a particular instance of the block, so we can also specify the block over here, and we can give the local instance of the block. So on the basis of that only the UI will be represented. So you can also specify the block if it is scoped to the single widget. And to provide the more control how the UI will be updated, we can also have the different methods. So build when method, you can also specify, which is having the two different state, which is the previous state and current state. So whatever the previous state is there, we can compare that with the current state also. If you want to compare some parameters within these two states, and we can return a boolean value from here. So returning the true will trigger the builder to provide a state, provide a UI based on the current state, and returning false will do not trigger the builder to provide the updated state. So it will skip that one. So this is the block builder, which is mainly to update the UI on the basis of the different states of the particular block. Now, talking about the block listener, that block builder and listener are having a very thin line, that block builder is representing the different UI to the user on the basis of the different state, but block listener is only representing the different components. As you can say that the current block state is this one, and I only want to display a snake bar, I only want to display a dialog, or I want to navigate to the different screen. On a button press, if you want to navigate to the different screen, that you can directly do that, but you can also do that using the on press method and using the navigator. But for the block, you can also pass an event to the block, and block will emit the different state, and that state we can handle in the listener, and here we can provide the navigator. So this is the example for that. So it invokes the listener in response to the state update, same as the block builder. And for functionalities like navigation, showing a snake bar or the dialog, we can use the block listener. So we can directly use the block listener if we have provided the block from block by using the block provider directly. And if we have the specific instance of the block to be used, then we can use the block. We can also specify the block over here, and we can specify the instance. And same as the block builder, if you want to specify a condition that when and where when this listener will be get triggered, so listen when method is also there, which is having the different state and the previous state in that parameter. So comparing that, you can also trigger the when to trigger the listen and when to not. So there is a very thin line difference between the block builder and the listener. And same, the next is the multi-block provider. So same as the providing multiple blocks using the multi-block provider, we can also have the multiple block listener. If our single screen is having a multiple blocks, or you can say the lower widget is acting upon the different states of the multiple blocks, so we can have the multi-block listener also. So we can wrap our lower subtree with the multi-block listener. So if we want to display a different snake bars, I'm just giving an example that if you want to display a different snake bars on the different state of the block A, B, and C, so you can have the listener over here, and we can have the different states of the block, different blocks, block A, B, and C over here, and we can display the different snake bars in using the block listener. So displaying a snake bar, it is a functionality, and it is not updating a UI, right? Whatever the data that we are representing to the user, it is not updating a UI part. It is only a specific functionality that we are displaying a snake bar. So at that time, we can use the block listener. But if you want to specifically update the UI, that some portions that you want to update, at that time, we can use the block builder. Next is the block consumer. So it consists of the two things. The block consumer, it consists of the two things, that is what the listener and the builder. So let's say our lower component of this particular widget is acting upon the same state for the listener also and for the builder also. That means for the same state, you are also updating the UI, and you are also displaying snake bar to the user. or you are displaying, or you are going to display a dialog to the user, or you are going to navigate to the different screen. So at that time, if you want to trigger the listener also and builder also for the same state, we can use the block consumer, which consists of the both listener and builder. So instead of wrapping the block builder with the block listener, we can directly use the block consumer, and in which we can use the listener and builder. So this is also in one extension that we can use instead of wrapping the block builder with the block listener. And yeah, so talking about the qubit, which is a lightweight and which is added later, and after that the Flutter block is updated. So before, in the block, we do have the different events which are passed on to the block, but here in the qubit, different functions will be there. In qubit itself, we will be having a different methods. From the UI, those methods will be directly triggered, and the same functionality will be there. So only the difference is it will be not pass an event. The event will be not added. The functions of the qubit will be directly triggered, and from the function itself, we can emit the different state to the UI, and all other things will be remain same. So we are not adding the events here in for the qubit, but we will be directly calling the function of the qubit. So there are different way that we can access the qubit functions, and that we will see programmatically. So this is the only difference between the qubit, but it is very lightweight. So to differentiate the different things, we can have the block. If we have the complex structure, then you can go with the block, and you can also go with the qubit for that. There is no issue for that, but we preferred for the lightweight process, we can go with the qubit. For the heavyweight, we can go with the block, but both will work. The only difference, that block is having to add the event, while the qubit, using the qubit, we can directly call the functions of the qubit, which will be emitting the different state to the UI. So this is what the qubit. So that's what all about the different core concept of the Flutter block. So we can now see practically that how blocks and qubits are working. First, we will see the counter app demo, and then we will be seeing the API calling demo. So till now, any questions about these core concepts? Abhishek, if you want to refer me about some comments, if we have received.
No, I don't think so. But, participants, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or write in the chat section.
Okay, so I guess we can move for the demo, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the screen is visible, right?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So let me just restart it. Okay, so we will be seeing the two demos, that is what for the counter and for the API. So first of all, let me go with the counter of the qubit. The content is visible, or do I need to increase the font?
It's visible to me, but maybe some participant can write in the chat section. So we have one question. If we are using multi-block provider, can we use block consumer with it?
Yeah, you can use that. Because see that multi-block provider is only providing the block to the lower tree, right? The multi-block provider, it only providing the block to the lower subtree. It is only for providing the blocks to the lower subtree. While the block consumer, whenever that you want some portion of your screen, let's say one portion of your screen where you want to represent the different state, Let's say you are fetching some data from the server. So initially you want to display the loader, and when the data is received, at that time you want to display the data. So these are the different states. So initially loader will be there, so your state will be the loading state. When the data is received successfully, your state will be the success state. And if in such case that you fail to receive the data, then your state will be failed. So there are different states. The initial state will be represented with the loader also. Loading is also there. Success state, where you will be having a list of data, and you will represent the list data with the list view. And while if you fail to get those particular data, then you can represent user with some error message or some dialogue also, right? So at that time you can use the block consumer. So provider only provides the block to the lower subtree. Inside the lower subtree, at which location you want to have the UI based on the different state. So wrap that widget with the block consumer, and at there we can use the listener and builder to return the different UI components based on your state. So if we have the initial state is load, if we have the initial state, at that time you are calling an API, so you can represent the loader at that. So you can return the circular progress indicator directly. And if we have the success state next, so you will be having a different data which you can access from this state. So when you have the data, you can return the list view. By using the list view builder, you can represent that data, and that will be returned to the user. So list view will be displayed. And if we have the failed response, at that time we can have the different dialogue, or you can say the different message on the screen. So that way we can use. So provider and the consumer are the two different things, but before consumer you need to provide the block using the block provider or the multi-block provider from about tree. Okay, so are we good, right, Abhishek?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There is one query. There are approx 40 GB Xcode runner file, simulator file. Will Flutter clean command help me sort this?
Can you repeat this, because I need to check this practically? I may.
There are approx 40 GB of Xcode runner files.
Okay.
So will Flutter clean command help me sort this?
Flutter clean might be cleaning only the workspace, but if you are running your application, right, then you may have some information in the derived data and all the way, right? So if you see that this is apart from this one, but if you see that we do have the derived data here also, that you can find in your Xcode, where the derived data and archives will be there. So at when you want to get rid of this information, you can select all, and you can also get rid of this. So it might be possible that Flutter clean is not cleaning this information, but this is only the derived data at the time of when we are executing our application on this simulator. So these are only the derived data which you can clear, and this will clear lot information, a lot of space from your Mac. So this is apart from this, I guess. Okay, so yeah, so for the counter qubit, that we can specify a particular class, which is a counter qubit class, the name which extends the qubit, and this is the type of the state that this particular qubit is representing, right? And this is what the integer, because we are only returning the integer from this particular qubit. And here we do have the two methods, because as we seen in our qubit, that qubit will be having a functions on which the UI will be directly triggering those functions. So here we do have the two different functions, which is the increment and decrement, and which is emitting the different states. Sorry. So state in the sense that we do have the state in terms of the integer here. So we are returning the integer from this particular method. So whenever from the UI, this method of the qubit will be get called. From here, the state plus one, whatever the state, whatever the current state is there, 0 or whatever the other number, it will increment that value by 1 and it will return back that value to that particular UI from here. And same way the decrement is also there, which is decrementing by 1 that particular current state, and it will returning that to the UI. So qubit is very lightweight, as we have seen in the as we see in the code also, that this is the qubit for the counter application. So counter qubit and super zero, this is the initial state of our application. So initial state is the 0, which is represented with the integer value. So initial state will be 0. Now how you can consume this particular qubit, right? So yeah, so first the counter page will be there. Let's say we do have the counter page, and inside that qubit counter home is there, and which is having all the representation of our UI. So from the page we are passing our qubit to the lower subtree, right? So I will be make use of the block provider. The block provider will be creating an instance of the qubit. So block provider wrapping the counter qubit counter home, create the instance of the counter qubit. So this way we can provide this qubit to the lower subtree, which is the qubit counter home and all of their widgets. So here everywhere that qubit can be accessible here inside the qubit counter home, and that qubit will be having a different states which we can act based on the block act within the block builder based on the different states. So let's say my this qubit counter home is representing the scaffold, app bar is there, inside the body I do have the center column. These are the different arrow icon for calling the different qubit methods, and my only portion, let me trigger it from over here. Yeah, my only portion which is rebuilding is the center part, which is the value which is represented in the qubit state. So initially state is 0. So when my this screen will be get loaded, at that time it will comes to this point, block builder. It will be having a two things, either block or qubit. So here we do have the qubit, so counter qubit will be there, the state will be there. Here we do have the state in a form of the integer, so we will be having the integer. Builder will be there, which will be returning the UI based on the different state, but here we have the state in an integer way, so we are only printing the value of the state. So state is nothing, it is having the data type of integer. So here we are printing the value of the state. So initially the value is 0. So this is what the block builder having the integer state, and we are printing the value of this state using this state. So this way the initial value is printed. Now we do have the two methods in the qubit, that is what the increment and decrement, and which needs to be called from the UI. So inside the UI we do have the two arrows, which is incrementing our state and one is decrementing our state. So we do have these two arrow icons, and on press, the way you can access the qubit past qubit, that you can use the context.read the type of the qubit that you want to read. So this will get you the instance of the qubit which is passed from the upper portion of your tree. So as you can see, the counter home is over here, which is after the block provider. From the counter page we do have the block provider, which is wrapping our qubit counter home. So this counter qubit is provided to the whole qubit counter home widget subtree. So from that's why we can easily have the instance of the counter qubit available over here. If we remove this portion, then this will not have the access to the counter qubit because it is not provided from the upper portion of the tree. So that provided qubit, we can access it using this particular syntax, and we can directly call the increment method. So when calling this increment, it will come over here, it will emit the 0 plus 1, which is the one state from over here, and it will go to the UI, and it will see that here we do have the block builder, which is associated with the same qubit, which is having this method. So this qubit will act upon the state which is emitted from this particular qubit. So if we do have this state emitted from over here, the next state is the 0 plus 1. So it will come over here, the state value will be received to this one, and that state value will be represented to the UI using this text. So this way the increment will work. And same way the decrement will work, that we will be accessing the qubit using the same syntax, and we will be calling the decrement method. So that decrement will emit the state, the current state. If you can term the current state, the value is 4. If I will be pressing on this one, it will come over here, it will emit the state -1, the value 3 to the UI, and the block builder will update the value as per the received state. So that will be having the decrement values on the pressing of the decrement. So this way the qubit will work. Okay, so the difference between the block and qubit, there is only one thing, that we less representation over here. So let me show you for the block that how this counter is there. So how we can have the counter implemented in the block. So same, let me explain you this one, that we will be having a class which is the block counter block, which extend the base block class, which will be having a two things. One is the event and one is the state. So let me show you the difference here. So here, as we can see, the qubit is only extending the qubit, and it is only having the here we do have the two things, the event and the state, because block needs to receive the event, and the representation of the initial state are same. By using the constructor, we can have the representation of the initial state, and here we do have the different functions to be triggered with the help of the instance of the qubit, and here we need to pass on the different event. So that event, whenever we will be adding an event to the block, those event will be received to this particular method, and here we do have the state in terms of the integer same. So we are returning the stream of the integer from this method, and as we have the event as a particular class, which is the enum class counter event, so we will be having the counter event as a parameter to the map event to state. And as we see earlier, that we will be having a generator function, so async start, which is the generator function, which the function which is returning the stream of some values, and here stream of integer is there. So that's why we do have the generator function over here. So same, we do have the specific function which is emitting the different state. Here we do have the event, and which will be checking that which event is received over here. So we will be having a switch case. If it is an increment event, we will be throwing the next state equals to state +1. So in case of the qubit, you will be having a emit. So emitting a different state, that is what throwing next state to the UI. And same way, yield is there to be used in the block. So yield state +1. So current is the whatever the value is there there in the current state, which will be added +1, and which will be given back to the UI. So this is what the difference between the qubit and block, that we will be having only less number of code for the qubit, but we will be having a different terminology for the block. We need to have handle the qubit, we only have to directly handle the. So this is qubit, and let me show you that how we can have the UI part for the block. So same way, now we are ready with our counter block. So our block is ready, only we have to work on the UI part. So I will be having an entry point, that is what the block counter home, which will be having a block counter page, which is at the below portion of that. And to provide this counter block to the lower portion, that is to the block counter page, I will be using the block provider. So same syntax as the qubit, that we will be having a block provider, the type of the block that we want to pass, and the instance that we can create from over here using the create. So the instance of the counter block will be get created, and that counter block will be passed on to the block counter page. So here we can access or that passed counter block instance using this particular syntax. So I converted it to the stateful widget, or you can also have the directly stateless widget, and you can directly call block provider dot of this context, and you can dot add, you can directly add the different event also to this one. But this is what I would prefer to get. So we will be having declaring a local instance, which is the private instance of the counter block, and we will be assigning the values to that. So this syntax, the block provider of the type of the block and context, will get me the provided block from the previous portion of the widget tree. So from here we are providing a counter block, and that counter block will be get accessed, and that will be given to this counter block, which will be assigned with that particular pass block. Now this UI part is the same, only the difference is the way we are adding the events. So in place of the qubit, we are directly accessing the qubit using the context.read counter qubit and directly calling the method of the qubit. In place of the block, we will be we have just assigned our provided block to our local instance, which is the counter block, and from here we are adding the event for a specific functionality that we want to fire. So counter block add, and the event, the type of the event that we want to pass. So that is what the counter event dot increment. So this event, whenever the event will be added, it will go to the block, it will trigger the map event to state, and from here we can have that which kind of event it is receiving. So based on the type of the event, it will return back the different state from over here. And the same on the screen, we do have the block builder. So here block builder will be having a block and the state, and the builder function will be there, which will be returning the value of the current state. So representation in terms of the qubit and block is same, only the implementation of the block and qubit is different. So this way the block will be incrementing the different values, and here the decrementing the different values. So if you want to see that which kind of event that it is receiving, so here you can see the counter event increment it has received. So based on that, it will yield the different state. And if you want to decrement it, then you can see that it has event decremented, that is triggered over here, map event to state, and it will return back with the proper state value from over here, and which will be used in the block builder. So this way the counter using the block is working. Any questions in these two examples, that with the qubit and with the block?
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask them directly. Unmute yourself or add it into the chat section.
The counter example is very easy to understand the qubit and block, because it is only having the state in form of the integer data type. But when we have the state in the different form, then there is a different representations. Okay, so I guess we are more clear about this one. So yeah, let me move to the API calling demo. So first of all, we will see with the block that how we can have the how we can implement a single API calling. So let me show you that what we are going to see, that the API will be get called, and the different users, the dummy response is there, which is there. So the API will be get called. That is what the initial state, and at the initial state, as we can see, the loader is displayed, and when the data is received, the data is here represented with the block builder and the snake bar that we are seeing, right? The snake bar is represented using the block listener, because it is a functionality in our application. It is not block builder will work as a block build method of our widget. It needs to return a widget to be represented, while the block listener which adds the functionality. So that way we do have that thing. So we will be having a discussion on this one. So let me open the block first, event and state. Yeah. So here, if you see that in screen, we do have when the user comes to this particular screen, the event will be get added. Event will be received to the block. The block will yield the different state. So starting with the block, we will be required to event to be created, and we require the state to be created. And in terms of the state, here we do not have the representation of the state in a single data type, right? Like we do have that in the counter. So same as the counter, here we do not have the integer state. We do have the different class which is represented as a state. So same for the event, we do have a separate class which will be represented as an event. So talking about the events, that we can specify the event by the abstract class. We can have the abstract class, that is what the event, which extend the equatable, and equatable is mainly used to compare the current current object of the class. So equatable is very important for this one also, when defining the different event and states for your current block. So you can we can have the abstract class for the event, and which is the and you can extend that particular class, abstract class, to the different classes which will be representing our different events. So same way that we are not defining only a single data type, we are defining a class, and we will be having a different class which are extending that particular abstract class. So our main events will be these events, which we will be used to add from the screen UI, and these events will be received to the block. So this is our event, and same way we will be having our state. So here we do have the state class, which is having the abstract class block API home state, and which is also extend the equatable. And here, by extending this base abstract class, we can have the different state of our this different states for this particular block. So let's say we do have the initial state, which is not holding any data, it is only the initial state. Loading state, which is also extending our abstract, so it does not hold any data. Success state, so when our this particular screen, or you can say this block, is having this success state, at that time it will hold the list of the users. And here I have used the built value generator for receiving the different or converting the received response to the directly list of the users. We have used the built value generator, so that's why I have defined it as a built list of user. So you can have the different representation, but I'm just giving you that the success state will hold some data that needs to be passed when we emit this particular state from the block. So this success state is having this data, and we will be having a constructor for that. So we can create an instance of this one, and this is the properties that are the parameters which are accessible to the from this one. So we need to define the props also. So whatever number of different parameters are there, that we need to define over here also. So when we do have the response, successful response from the API, we will be emitting success state from the block to the screen by passing this particular data to the screen. And if we are failing to get the response from the server, at that time we will be passing a simple message, or you can say the error, to the screen within this particular state. So this is what the different states that we have created. So these are the events and these are the different states that this block will act upon. So now come back to the block. So this block will be there which extend the base block and which will be having the events of this particular class. These are the different events, and which will be having states from this particular class. So these are the different states that this block will represent, or you can say these are the different states that this block can only emit from itself. So sorry. So here going forward, that it will be having a context. This context that I have passed because it is required for the API calling over here, so I'm not going deep into that one. But if you want to pass a parameter to the block, then you can define it over here and you can have it within the constructor over itself. And you can call the super with the initial state, which is the home state initial. And as you can see, this is the child class from over here. So abstract class, which is extended over here. So it is the same representation of this block API home state class. So we can use this is the initial state, so representing over this current block. And next, inside the block we will be having the map event to state, and which will be receiving the event. So event, that is any other class of this abstract class, and this event, this method will be emitting the different states from this particular method. So it may have the any representation of this abstract class. So that's why we do have the block API home state, which is our abstract class over here. So the block receiving the event and emitting the states, this method is there. Now based on the event, let's say my first event is the get event to get this particular list. So if my event is home event get, that I want to get this particular data, so it will be come over here. The map event to state will be triggered. It will identify that what kind of an event that it is receiving, and on the base of the event it will perform the different processing. So here you can also emit the different state one by one. So initially, let's say until I'm calling my API and I'm receiving the response, I want to display the loader on the screen. So what I will do, I will yield the home state loading over here. So yield home state loading will trigger this particular state to the UI, and the block builder there, it will act according to that one. So block builder will receive the home state loading, so it will display the loader on the screen, and after emitting this state from over here, it will further do the processing. So from here it will go and it will call this API get users, and upon receiving the successful response, if the API response is successful, it will yield the another state, that is what the home state success, with the list of the API response dot body. Sorry. So Next, when the API response is successful, it will yield this particular state. And this, for this particular state, as we discussed that for the success state, we will be having the list of the user. So from the block, it will yield the home state success with the list of the user which are received in the API response. And if at any point a response is failed, then if the API response is not successful, we will be displaying that something went wrong to the UI. We will pass this information with the home state fail state. And also, if any point exception is triggered, at that time we will be yielding this particular state. So this is how the event will be get handled in the block. So if we have the get event, if we have the another event, that is what the event logout, then we can also have the this event can be compared with the if, and you can have the different processing inside the this particular block. So you can have your processing, and we can emit the different states from within the block itself. And yeah, so this is the event, these are the states, and this is the block. Now talking about the UI part, that yeah, so that was the small stuff for the counter demo. So that's why I added both of the thing in both of the classes in the same page. But we follow this terminology for implementing a page first, and then we will be having a screen. So from the page, we will be providing the block to the lower part. So here block provider is used, which will be providing a block which we have just seen. That block will be provided using the block provider to this particular subtree. That is what the block API home screen, and the instance will be get created. The context is passed, and as you can see that inside the block we do have a one parameter which needs to be passed over here when we create the instance, because it is required for the API calling here. So yeah, so at the time of the creation of the block instance using the block provider, we can pass the parameters from here also. So context is passed, and this block is now accessible to the block API home screen and the lower widget and the lower subtree of this particular screen. So inside this home screen, this is the stateful widget. We do have declared the local instance, that is what the home block. Just forget about this one, this is different thing. So block API home block is there, so this instance is there. Init state is called. So when the screen is ready, when the on layout is done, we will be adding an event to this particular block. But before that, we need to access that past block and assign it to our local instance. So for that, this syntax is there. So same block provider of type of the block and context. So we can access that particular block, and we can assign that to our local instance. And when the layout is done, we can add that particular event. So using the local instance, the event is added, which is what the home event add. So when this event is added to the block, this event state will be get triggered, and the event will be received over here. So based on the type of the event, the event that we are having is the home event get. So it will go inside this method, it will check that which event that it is receiving, and based on the event it will act upon. So here the home event get is received, so it will process this particular data, and from here it will pass on the different state. So here when the layout is done, we are adding this particular event. Talking about the UI part, we are having a scaffold, app bar is there, then the container is there only for providing the padding. We do have the block listener first, and we do have the block builder. Here inside the block builder, I will go with the block listener later. For the UI part, block builder is having the two things. One is the block, another is the state that the block is related, and the builder function uh, from which, based on the state, it is returning the different UI. So when our state is success and when we have the different data, list of the user data, we can represent the user listing. So from here, the user list function is called with the state which is passed. And if you want to access the data within that particular state, so this state is having this particular list of data, and which is the, well, the name of the parameter is the list, so that we can access using the state dot list by using that particular state. So when we do have the success state, we can build the user listing, and we can return with the particular data grid. That is what we can represent the list view to the user, and that will be represented to the represented on the UI when the data is received. And if our API gets fail or any exception is there, then we may receive the home state fail. That is what our next state. So as you can see inside the block, if our API is failed or our any exception is there, then we will be emitting the home state fail from this particular block, and that will be received over here. So block builder will act upon that now the state is the home state fail, it is not the success. So what it needs to return, that it will return one particular component which is explaining that oops, we failed to get the user response, and another terminology or another widget tree that we can use to trigger the add the event again to the block. So we can also represent that one. So and initially we are not handling the initial state over here. As you can see, we only check for the if our state is home state success or if our state is home state fail, then and then only we are returning a specific components from here. But default, what if it is not there, if any state we are not comparing, then the default thing that we are returning from over here is the loader. So app loader is nothing, it is just a circular progress indicator that we are returning. So initially for any other state, the app loader will be displayed at any point if our state is updated. Let's say home state success is there, at that time build user will be represented to the end user, and if our state is fail, at that time some other components will be displayed to the user. So this is how the block builder works. So let's see. So as you can see, we are just coming on to the screen. So initially the state is the home state initial. Now going forward, that the event that it is receiving after the layout is done, the event that it is receiving is the home event get. And here, as you can see, when the event is that one, we are yielding the different state, that is what the home state loading. So when this state is emitted from here, the block builder will act upon that one. So block builder will receive that state update. It will check that the current state is the home state loading. So which widget that I need to represent to the user, and we haven't mentioned that particular check over here. So default, it will display the app loader. So it will display the app loader. Now the API response is there. So if the API response is successful, and which is in case it is successful, so if the API response is successful, it will get inside, it will yield the different state, it will emit the different state from over here, which is the home state success, and it will give back the data to the that particular UI. So from here it will go over here. As you can see, the current state is the home state success, which is written over here. And if you see in the state, we are having a list of the user, because current state is the home state success, and this class is having its own data. That is what the parameter, the list is the parameter, the build list of the user, which is the parameter. So we are having the build list of the user, which is in this particular state. So here we can access that all the data which are received, and the data will be represented based on that one. So as you can see that we are only returning when the list is not empty, we are only returning the list of the user. So how this snake bar is visible, right? Upon receiving the success, how this snake bar is visible. So that is uh, based on the block listener that we have defined over here. So yeah, so same, the block builder will have the block and the current state. Same, the block listener will be also having the block and the current state. And here builder is responsible for returning the different widgets based on the different state, while the listener is only performing some actions based on the different state. So if we have the success state, then I will be displaying a snake bar on the screen, or if my state is fail, I will be displaying a failed snake bar, displaying a snake bar with a different message on the screen UI. So that's how this thing is working. So listener will be triggered when this particular state is there, and if you want to display some snake bar, or if you want to perform the navigation, so that we can display over here. We can use the listener in that way. So let's go over here. The listener will be also triggered every when the every state is emitted every time. So initially the initial state was there, the listener was not active at that time. Now the new state is there, which is the state loading. So this state will be received to the listener also, and listener will check, does this state condition is over here or not. It is not. Now upon receiving the success full response, it will yield that another state, that is what the home state success, and the same state will be handled by the listener over here. Now the state is success, so it will get inside and it will display the loader to the user. So this way we can also incorporate the listener by wrapping the block builder, and we can perform some functionalities or perform some actions based on the different states of a particular block. So this is how the listener will work. Yeah, so this is how we can implement the block for a particular screen, and we can access the we can define this architecture, and we can make use of the based components of the block, because this is how we can consume the blocks in the based way. So as you can see that to creating a block, we do require to specify the event class, we do require to specify the state class, and then we can work upon the block which will be emitting the different states based on the different event that it is receiving. So we can have the different events, and we can perform our data operations over here, and based on the data we can emit the different states, and those states will be handled to the UI portion, and that portion, the block listener and the block builder, will act upon by receiving the different states on the screen, and block builder will return the different UI to the screen based on the different states, while the listener will act upon the different functionalities to displaying the UI, or if you want to navigate to the other portion, or if you want to display the dialog. So at that time listener will be get activated. So this is how we can implement the block for the API. in our Flutter application. And same way, let's say if we have the separate portion, right, in the single screen having the multiple list, one is at the upper and one is at the lower, so we can provide the two different blocks by using the multi-block provider from here. And inside this screen we can add the two different event to the two different instances of the block, which are uh, representing the two separate UI component. So we can wrap this to the column also, and we can specify the another block builder over here, right? The same block builder we can also specify, so it will act upon in that way. So we can represent the separate UI portion with the separate block, and which will be representing or which will be displaying a specific component, right? Initially both the loaders will be display, and when the data is there, both will be display or data that is received from the API. So this way the block works. Any question on this?
Okay, so participants, do you have any questions on block or Flutter or anything? I guess there's none. So, Purvik sir, can you please upload this on GitHub so that we can also send it?
Yeah, so that's what we have, and these are the useful links. I will be giving this presentation to the Abhishek, sorry. So he will forward it to you guys, and this project is available here at the first link. And there are some things that you want to understand, that is, if you want to know the yield versus yield start, that you can also go with this Dartpad. And there is a different thing, that as we have mentioned, that we can also pass the specific object of the block to the lower component. So I do have a separate project for that, so it is also available to this particular link. And one more thing that yeah, so this is not clickable at my end. Okay, so I have already uploaded it, and it is available on one of my repo.
Okay, no issue.
Yeah.
There is one question. Consider we are creating a to-do application for a
Okay.
screen where user will have a text field where user enters the to-do, and once he hits enter, the text gets saved through an API call. For this, what would be the states which will be created for its corresponding block and one block listener to listen the API call?
Sorry to can you please repeat it again, because I was just giving the link to download this application. It is available for the Android application. Yeah.
Okay, it's also in the chat section. So it's basically what are the states that would be created in a to-do application when the user clicks on, like when the user saves its to-do and an API is called.
Okay, so let's say your initial state will be there. So you will be representing input form to the user. So that will be your default state, as you can see that. So that will be the default state which you can represent it to the user. And when user gives some information, press on a particular button. So on that button, you can pass those information, the user inputted details to the within that event to the block. So that block will receive your inputted data, and those information that block can process. Now block is having, let's say your to-do is only having a one string, so that message that received on the block, now block knows that I have to store this to the server. So what it will do, to display the some processing, it will yield the loading state. So now loading state will be there. So you're on this screen, you can display the loader to the user that this is the representation that something is happening in the background. And after that, you can process the request to the server. So data will be stored back to the server. And same way, when the data is received, at that time, you can display the success message to the server using the listener also directly. And listener will be helpful to display the dialog that your data is stored on the server, and when the dialog will be dismissed, again the input form will be displayed. So listener will be able to use to clear the content of the controller also, or you can reset your input form in the listener also. And if some way that your request is failed, right, from that, so you can also display a respective snake bar or the dialog to the user that your request is failed, so you can maintain your data in the form also.
Okay, thank you so much, Purvik sir. And participants, do fill the feedback form. I have sent the link in the chat section. You will receive the participation certificate by the end of the day. And yeah, I've also shared the GitHub repo link of the project that we have done today.
And it also to adding that, it also contain the same API calling with the qubit is also there, so you can also have a look at that one. And the API calling is developed using the Chopper package, so we can also have the idea behind that, how this Chopper is working.
Okay, so we have two questions now. Sunnybai is asking, it becomes tedious to emit state and block listener for navigation between pages and showing dialogues. So is it okay to use tools like Flushbar or One Context to avoid it?
As far as that, I have used the Flushbar, but initially that I have used, but now I have developed a custom bar for that. But to trigger something to display on the UI, okay, for the particular state, we have to use the block listener, because the builder will be only updating the UI, but to trigger something on the UI, we can use the block listener. So I guess block listener is the main thing for that one.
Yeah, Purvik.
Yeah.
So specifically, we will decide what should be, as you have used Flushbar, and Flushbar lets you create satisfy all this snack bars without context, right? You have to assign it only once in the initialization. The same way, One Context is another package which lets you do that single filter will many things: dialogues, snack bars, navigation. So they are using the same technique, contextless navigation, storing context once and then using it later on. So the thing is, in the app I am working on right now has way too many navigations and dialogues. Sorry. And it becomes tedious to always emit a state and then handle that state in a listener, and it is crazy. So okay, is it echoing? Sorry for that.
No, now it's okay, I guess. Yeah.
So I was asking if it goes against the rules of block or whatever it is, because block says that you have to separate. I mean, the goal of block is to separate UI and your logic completely, and it's very nice to have, but I am feeling like I have to cheat here.
Okay, so
to write a navigation code from inside the block class only. So is it okay? What do you say?
Yeah, it is okay. Let's say that on a button press, if I only want to navigate to the different thing, right, then I do not want to create an event, go to the block, emit a different state, and then navigate to the different screen. We can directly use our traditional way, that on press just use the navigator. I guess that is the question, right? Or based on the different state that you want to navigate.
So think about an event you are triggering from user's input, and then you are trying to do something else, like maybe show a dialogue and then get some value. Maybe an example like country picker, or something which you want, a value you want from user. So you will show a dialogue and get it. So the thing is, doing that simple little thing would take a lot of code if I go the listener
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Add a list. I mean, have a state for it, have a listener for it, then handle the input values which user returned. That becomes tedious. That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
because one context provides a way to just write that in between logic, like if you can easily write that await for user to go to this page and select something and come back, and as soon as we have a value or failure, we will handle it in line.
Okay. So yeah,
without going to the
without going
UI
to
part
the block
or using
terminology.
the
Yeah.
listeners.
Okay. So yeah, we obviously we can go in that way. If we are not going to the Flutter road, then we can go directly with our traditional way, right? We can have the await and we can navigate to the different screen. We can have the data from there. And when we receive the data, and if we want to pass those data to some server or we want to process that, we can also process locally. But especially for the, let's say if you want to store those data to some server and we want to call some API, at that time the block will be useful because it is having a different representation on the screen. We cannot every time play with the sad state and updating some booleans to represent some UI widgets, right? So at that time we can make use of these block role. We can use the block for that. Otherwise it is okay to use the directly in a traditional way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Another one is, I guess, which to prefer, block or qubit. And as we have seen, the qubit is having a very less code compared to the block inside the qubit, but you will not have the proper details about the qubit. That for a block we do have a transition which is consist of the three things: current state, the event which is triggering that particular triggered, and the next state, which is the reason behind that triggering. So those three details will be only received in the block. In place of the qubit, you will not receive that one. So that's the one of the disadvantage. So you will lose the traceability in your application, that which is my current state and what is the reason behind triggering this particular state. So that you will that we will lose. So that's the drawback of the qubit. One of the things there. And can you share some? Okay, so resources are there, I guess. Okay, I guess so. Abhishek, we are done with the questions that we received in the chat.
Yeah. Once again, just a reminder, fill out the feedback form so that you would receive the certificate by the end of the day. And thank you so much, Purvik sir, for joining us. And thanks to all the participants who joined us with this session. We would love to have you in future sessions. And Sunny bhai, now the stage is yours. You can make the announcement.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, as we all know that there will be an event or say challenge or say anything, 30 days of Flutter, which is going to be run by Flutter team officially, and they will be giving us some weekly things to learn Flutter from scratch. So if you are learning from scratch, you can follow that. If you are already a Flutter developer, or if you have pet projects which have been long lost and you want to get going with that, or want some consistency in your efforts, so we organize a Flutter Ahmedabad meetup group, and I am inviting you to a meeting every day at 8 for whole February. So for every day we'll go online at 8 in the evening, and everyone is free to talk about what they are doing. If they are learning, then they can ask for help, and so many experts and so many beginners will be there, so it will be open space for everyone. We'll try to invite people, I mean, on higher ranks. If you want any specific help, So yeah, to stay connected with us, please RSVP on this, and you'll get notified about the meeting just before 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. And I would suggest that do check out the 30 days of Flutter because it's going to be fun. Even not for just beginners, also for the intermediate levels and advanced too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
And
Yeah.
Adding that, thank you, Flutterwall sir, and thank you, Abhishek, for providing this platform to share the knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Don't call this sir. Still it is.